Welcome back to the unofficial Squarespace Entrepreneur Podcast. Today I'm here with Rob Williams of Folio, and Folio, they help agency owners get leads. So I thought it would be great to have Rob on today to share more about what he does with Folio, helping agency owners get leads.
Yeah, so appreciate you having me on, Amari. Um, it actually started as I started as a freelancer. So we right now we're focused on and we're specialized with helping web design and development agencies find leads. But I actually started the business originally as a freelancer because I was going through kind of dry spells. I was going through the feast or famine cycle, and I wished that there was somebody I could pay to basically find me good leads to pitch. I realized, look, I'm spending a lot of time finding uh, potential contacts, and not just like random email addresses, scraping off of, I don't know how they do that. But just like people who are, looking in the process sort of looking for a freelancer or trying to find a web designer. Those are the types of leads I was kind of going after, trying to find. I was using job sites. I was using, my connections or like LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Um, and I realized, man, this is taking me way too long. This is like a full-time job almost, and it's not what I want to do. Like, I'm a designer. I'd rather be designing stuff for clients, or I mean, putting together a proposal. That's worth it to me. That's worth spending some time on. But just finding this list of leads, it was just kind of tedious, and I wish I could outsource it. So I ended up basically writing a little sales page that just basically said that, like, oh, I'll do this for you if you're a freelancer. Pay me. Um, I think at the time it was like $39 a month, and I'll put together a list of leads every day.
Mhm.
And I think at first I was putting together 10 to 12 leads every day, and they were high quality leads, the type of leads I would want to work for, and sending that out basically to a paid newsletter. And that's really ultimately what it still is, except on a little bit of a different market, different scale, I guess. The projects are a little bit bigger since they are for agencies now. But a lot of what I teach in like the course that you mentioned, and a lot, even some of the leads, I still get freelancers signing up for it who are interested in those bigger projects. 30 or 40,000 usually is where the freelancers that sign up, the type of budgets that they're looking to approach. Maybe not, the higher end ones that are like 100,000 or more, but that's really kind of how it started, and that's kind of where it's kind of grown to right now.
So how do you still scratch your design itch? Like, is that, are you
Oh.
actively designing? Well, how's that going?
I mean, honestly, I was over scratching it for a while. When you have your own business, it's like endless. You could keep tinkering and keep kind of going at it for that. But I do have some side work I do occasionally. It's not so much like a freelance business as it is. Occasionally, I'll take on a side job for a friend, or for maybe a client if it's the right sort of situation where maybe I've worked with them before.
Mhm.
um that's kind of where I really do most of my design work now.
So you've kind of, it sounds like you've made this freelance transition from freelancer to what would you call where you are now?
I guess I'm not so much a freelancer, just kind of a business owner now.
Yeah.
A
Uh,
service, I still provide kind of a service to these agencies. Yeah.
I like the fact that it's a paid newsletter. Do you say that anywhere that it's a paid newsletter, or is that just that's just like the framework of how it runs, but on
Yeah.
top of it, you're delivering leads every day. Is that?
Yeah, technically I don't think it's a newsletter anymore, so I run it off of Podia. So I don't know if you've heard of Podia.
Hmm. Yeah, I used
I
to
do
use it.
I do everything on Podia now, so that saves me a bunch of time. I think technically inside of Podia, what it is a community. but
Hmm.
I'm the only one who makes posts in there, and so that's kind of how I share the RFPs and the leads that I find is in this. You could call it a community, but it all it does is it sends an email out, so it's basically a paid newsletter anyway.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, I've tried Podia. I mean, not tried it. I used it for a bunch of years, but I only tried the community feature. I never actually made any use of it.
Yeah.
Um, that sounds interesting. So what I'm curious about, like for one of our listeners, right, who they're just getting started with their freelance web design, would they be better off learning how you get your leads, or would they be better off just like plugging in and getting some leads?
Almost certainly learning how to get the leads. And I say that because if they're really just kind of starting fresh, what I see sometimes is the confidence isn't there for pitching these leads, even though I think like you could totally win a $30,000 project as a new freelancer, from an RFP. And I've seen people do it that are new. I think for the most part, though, for the majority of people, they're gonna sadly end up kind of psyching themselves out a little bit and being like, "Oh, there's no chance." And then it's kind of like going to the gym. It's like if you go to the gym, and you put in the work for a day, you come home and you say, "Hey, I look exactly the same." Well, yeah, you have to keep doing it. You have to keep going every single day. Like it takes a long time to build like the results, right? And so it's kind of the same thing. I send out the leads, but it's still kind of on the agencies and freelancers who sign up to um, put in the work of writing a great proposal. And just because they put in a great proposal, the first, who knows how many it'll take, it doesn't mean they're still not necessarily gonna land the job. So it just takes that discipline that I think for a brand new fresh freelancer is probably going to be too much to ask for them, because they are probably more at the stage of where they're learning how to put together proposals, and they're learning about the sales process still,
Mhm.
about how to do a call and how to ascertain what the client is really needs, even though their RFP or their job description, project description might say something, but kind of uncovering what's not said and that stuff. That's kind of the strategic stuff that is probably more at the level that they're trying to get to right now. And then just like how to generate the leads, I think is a good skill to have.
Yeah.
Especially if you're just starting out, like where do you get these leads? Like I want, yeah, like it's helpful to have the leads, but I think if you're brand new, figuring out where they're coming from and where clients post these sort of opportunities, I think is a good idea to have that knowledge, and to start it off. And I recommend that, oftentimes is like do this for yourself for a little while, before you sign up for any lead list. Like try to find your own leads, see kind of, because then when they do come to me, I think they're a little bit more likely to see the value in it because they've done it for themselves. They know what a high quality lead actually looks like and how long it takes to actually find one. Um, but
Mm.
yeah, I saw the course that you mentioned, the endless clients. That's more of a freelancer based course. If you're starting from scratch, starting completely, you've never maybe even had a client before, but you might have a project or two in your portfolio from either school or a job. The endless clients program will basically walk you through generating the lead lists, how to find these leads, where to go, how to kind of automate that too in a way so that you're not having to check 100 different websites all every day. You can just go to one. What I do is a RSS feed. I try to find RSS feeds for all of these different job sites, filtered by freelance, and I recommend a couple really good tools for that and walk through how to kind of set that up. And then I also provide just like dozens, or I think it might be hundreds of templates for proposals, for even things like as small as like what to say in a LinkedIn DM, stuff like uh if you're reaching out to a client over LinkedIn, That's something that might be a little bit intimidating for a freelancer who's just starting out, is just kind of trying to automate as much of that and make it as simple and straightforward as possible. So all you have to do is copy and paste a template or two, and then just kind of follow this blueprint that I've tried to provide. Uh, that's kind of the outline of the course. It goes from starting with like finding these leads to automating that process to what great sales proposals look like and what a great sales sort of process looks like, to then growing that by like with your team and with adding people, thinking about how to think about basically maybe even hiring at a certain point. That's kind of the full gamut of the course, I think.
Yeah. The part that I really resonate with, because it's something that I had to discover for myself, was putting together these RSS feeds so that like I could wake up every day and I could just have everything all there in one email. In the past, of of what new opportunities there were in the past 24 hours. That alone is like worth the course, in my opinion. Um, because you could apply it to whatever kind of sub niche that you want, which for
Yeah.
a lot of the people listening here at Squarespace. What would you say is like different about your approach to the sales process um than like maybe obviously just someone who's just starting out and doesn't have the confidence?
Yeah. I think it's a lot more active. So what I see freelancers, if you're just starting out, kind of tend towards is kind of the introverted or like inward focused sort of approach of like, oh, I'm going to update my portfolio.
Hmm.
Yeah, but who's going to the portfolio? Who's going to your website? Or I'm going to work on maybe the work that I'm doing and getting it really nice looking, same sort of thing like your portfolio. Whereas actually going out and finding leads is a more um, active, I guess, or assertive, or proactive, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Proactive approach, where anybody could do it, but very few kind of do it well. So what I do see sometimes is freelancers or agencies going on to maybe LinkedIn and sending a DM to just random, what seems like random people, because I'm on LinkedIn. I get,
Yeah.
dozens of these messages from freelancers or from development agencies, and I'm like, dude, this is obviously just, uh spam, or it's obviously kind of a form letter that I don't know how they target or what they're doing, but like I'm not a warm lead whatsoever. I'm not even a cold lead. I'm not, at all interested in buying that. So what ends up happening is there's that approach of like kind of sending the mass response sort of thing, cold emails. And then I've seen freelancers. This is more of an agency thing, but I've also seen freelancers do like ads, like trying to get ads, like Google ads. And I think that's also kind of a more passive approach, like you're trying to scale something maybe that hasn't yet been proven, or the page that you have may not generate leads in that sort of way. um so the approach that I take is kind of a mixture of both, where you are being proactive in the sense that you are going out and doing this stuff. You are moving forward. It does, you don't need leads coming to you to get started in your sales process started. But at the same time, you're not approaching just cold anybody off the street, or these like mass generated lists that I sometimes see people buy and email. So it's kind of a blend of like, oh, you're contacting these leads on your own, but they are warm leads who are already kind of in the sales cycle, already in the process of buying what you sell, and putting yourself into that sort of lead opportunity, as opposed to just a cold, hey, you got a great website. I'm a web designer. Are you looking to hire? That's, to me, is is going to take a lot more volume, and it's just hard for a freelancer to do that and see results, I think, because it's so common. It's so likely that these you probably get it all the time too, where people email you, random spammy kind of businessy stuff on LinkedIn or on your email.
Yep.
And sometimes it works, especially if you're really good at that, if you're really good at like kind of cold sales. But for the most part, I think freelancers could probably spend their time more wisely by going after people who are already looking for what they sell, already looking for a Squarespace website, already looking to hire somebody to fix their website. They have an issue. That's, I think, where more designers probably want to be and want to approach those types of clients.
Yeah, and it's just good general marketing sales advice to get in the flow of people who are already looking versus just not, people who aren't interested. But would you say that you're an introvert? Because I find that as an introvert, there's so much temptation with all of the, passive approaches that you get marketed to. It's like
Uh-huh.
where it's easy to get swayed into believing, like you say, like that you can scale something that you haven't actually validated. Um,
Yeah. I
how
would
how
say
how do you speak to that? Yeah.
I think I've gotten more extroverted over the years. I think I'm closer to like the middle of a range of the spectrum, but more on the extrovert side.
Hmm.
And I say that because my wife is an introvert. My wife is 100% an introvert, and so like I know I'm not on totally on that side, but I also have some friends who are like very extroverted, and I know I'm not completely on that side either. I think what's good for a freelancer is whether you're introverted or extroverted, really, is utilizing um, the web in the right ways. I think is really good. So like you don't have to jump on 500 sales calls anymore. You don't have to go you know door to door at businesses and pitch yourself that way anymore because of the internet, because this is a digital service that you're kind of giving. You can send emails out, and yeah, I think you'll benefit from learning kind of how to do sales calls. uh but I think that's something that's actually quite secondary in a lot of ways to what you write, learning how to write well, learning how to write emails the right way. um, that was actually the first product I ever created,
Hmm.
was a guide to writing emails called Emails That Win You Clients. So just kind of an approach, because that was the thing that when I started this service, I'd ask freelancers, hey, why don't you send me the emails that you are using these clients? If they would complain like, oh, these clients aren't responding, I'd say, okay, well, send me the email that you sent them.
Hmm.
And I just started noticing like dozens of themes of recurring sort of common mistakes in all these emails, because I had like a substantial number of people email me that, like probably 60 to 100 emails got sent to me. And I just noticed you guys are all saying the exact same things. You guys are saying, "Hi, my name is Amari or Rob, and I'm a website designer. I have 20 years experience or whatever, 10 years experience.
Yep.
Here's my portfolio. Let me
Yep.
know. Let me know if you need help or whatever. Let me know." But the common thing was, "Let me know."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that just like that kind of blew my mind when I started seeing that. It was like, whoa, everybody sends the exact same email.
Hmm.
The thing that I noticed was like they're all me focused, like focused on, I'm a designer, I've have 12 years experience, 10 years experience, I've worked with so and so. Let me know,
Yep.
not the opposite, which would be maybe, hey, you've got this site, I noticed you're looking for a designer, I noticed that you have these issues that in your job posting that you said, or in your project brief. What's a good time for you to go over this? Or I'd like to send you something, but first let me know if this is something you're interested in. Like that's a different approach where I'm catering to the person I'm emailing, and it's very clearly not an email that I could just send to 100
Yeah.
different people. This is focused on Amari. This is focused on the person I'm emailing, to a point where it's just clear it's not spam at that point. Um, and that's what I saw. Like when we started changing these emails, I started working with these freelancers. The results was kind of crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want, whatever, but like the response rates were double or triple what, the average response rate was. And we just started seeing so many more opportunities coming through with that approach, that pretty quickly, that's when I was like, oh, maybe I should, write something that kind of puts all of this into one place that people can
hmm
buy or whatever. And
It's,
so that was kind of that product. But um yeah, I think there is opportunity there if you know how to write an email. You can be an introvert. That, like, I like introverts. I don't think that is as a negative in any way. um and you can and I think you can do well, because if you think about it, 50% of people are introverts, right? um so they probably will respond better to another introvert,
hmm
because that's closer to how they're comfortable. So I never really see that as a big determinant in terms of what's more successful, for the most part.
it's cool that you said that, because last week I did a workshop exactly on how to close clients like me using email, because I get
Oh,
so much bad inbound. But when you get something good, right? And
that's awesome.
exactly the example that you laid out is exactly the example that I use, is that everyone starts the email with, "Hi, my name is,"
Yeah.
like an Eminem song. And it's like, I think, not like hearing it from your perspective as well. I think there's like a societal thing that we come up learning, that we are like our achievements, or we are like, this list of accomplishments. So when we go out into like a freelance market, that's that's what we like lead with. And then you have to learn that, no, you're still dealing with other people who have problems, who, want to work with other people who are observant of at least, the problem I've presented as needing to be solved.
Yeah.
So definitely, yeah, that skill set. When I like doing that workshop, I realized for myself, I'm like, oh, okay, this actually isn't that well known of a skill set. Like, it's not something that, obviously, you have to run into someone like you or me to, like, to learn it, or to have that realization. And like, you yourself had to have the realization that people didn't know this in order to teach it.
Yeah.
uh, so I think that's kind of cool. I had this thing back in the day. It was called Squarespace Gigs, and I only let it run for like 2 months, because I was still in a very short term mindset, where it was like, if I didn't get these results in the gym after 2 sessions,
Yeah.
like, I wasn't coming back. But one of my things at the time was like, you know, how sustainable could this be if it keeps, if it keeps growing? How have you like dealt with that, of, growing
Yeah.
the number of subscribers, but the leads maybe being somewhat consistent?
Yeah. So the cool thing about the business, I'll say this, is I don't need um I don't need anybody coming to me specifically with like an RFP in order for me to publish leads that day. So I can go out and find those leads. So I know sometimes it can be popular to maybe create like your own job board sort of thing,
hmm
and but that requires a lot of leads coming to you specifically to post the jobs. So the cool thing is you don't have to worry about that. You can do a little bit of work up front and post those leads. I will say also, I think maybe I mine started at it was good timing, or I got lucky in some sort of way, because I was um I was in first of all, I was basically single and I had all the time in the world. Now I have a kid and so it's a lot. I have a lot less time. But I was also kind of embedded into some kind of cool communities. So um, Justin Jackson had a community who he's like a product guy who just a bunch of different like product people were in this community that went on to create some cool stuff. And so I got to kind of share it in there. I got to kind of share it within like the designer news, and it was kind of brand new and stuff. So maybe there was some good timing there. But um I pretty quickly got up to I think it was like 30 $3,000 recurring revenue. I think it was within the first month. And what that kind of told me was like, well, first of all, I mean, that at that point that paid my rent. So I I had
Right.
every incentive then to continue it. Um, I remember the first paid newsletter I sent though was to one person. So I went out and I found 12 leads, and I still remember who the person is. His name's Kurt Elster. He runs Ether Cycle, and he's the host of like the unofficial Shopify podcast.
Yep.
He's like big time now, so he's way past that. But he was the first person to sign up for it, and I remember I went off and I found the 12 best web design leads I could find for that day. And I emailed, it's funny because I sent the email in, I think it was MailChimp or something, but it was literally to one recipient. I could have totally just emailed that like using my normal email. Um, and he quickly like replied and wrote, "Wow, this is the most awesome thing ever." And so that was cool. But like, I, I thought about like, man, I'm sending this email. I did 2 hours of lead finding for one person for $39. Like what's the hourly rate on that? Like maybe I should think about shutting this down. But within a month, I had built it up to 3,000 recurring revenue. So that was enough for me to keep going. And I don't think it like skyrocketed after that. I think the next couple months was probably in that vicinity, maybe three or four. And I kind of just kept chugging away at that. But what I found honestly is it's not so much about like the volume of leads that I'm finding. It's really just kind of the quality of them. So I think agencies and freelancers, they're going to notice if something is, just kind of mass produced.
Mm.
They're they can be very picky when it comes to the types of leads that they're going to approach. Even still to this day, like I have it pretty fine tuned. It's been 10 years. Like I know how to find good leads, and I still have people who sign up and they're like, well, man, these are all government jobs or these are all nonprofits. And they can be very picky. So
Mhm.
that's kind of the push and pull. I feel like the thing that's always going to be in your favor is I think the reason why you have me on this podcast right now. It's that this is a need that's kind of a I don't want to like hair on fire sort of pain, a pain that like is almost an existential pain for a freelancer or an agency owner. Is like finding good leads literally is like kind of the lifeblood of their business in a way where if they don't have that, everything else shuts down. Yes, they could have clients and they can be existing on for a while, but at a certain point, they need new clients, they need new leads to come through the door. And so um that's what's been really cool is
Yeah.
that the testimonials I get, the people who reach out to me and they're like, dude, I run a 3-person agency and we just landed $120,000 or whatever, a 6-figure project from your leads. Like this is gonna like sustain us for 6 months to a year. Like that's that's crazy. Like I'm paying $100 a month for this or whatever, whatever the price is. And they're like, this is an insane ROI. Um, and so that's really cool about the business. So that's kind of like my general thoughts. I would definitely, that sounds like a great idea to me, a Squarespace gigs newsletter. And anything I can do to help that, promoting it to my list. um, any tips, any sort of advice I can give you, I'd be happy to share as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaving that one up there for the audience to take on. I already did the demo. It's
Yeah.
definitely viable. Um, email marketing, like, tell me a little bit about like your email marketing strategy, execution, because I like it. It fits my style a lot. But like, how did you arrive at it? Like, how do you tweak it? Like, what's your
Awesome.
your thing?
Yeah. So that's the probably the most complicated part of my business, and also probably the most valuable part of my business. So I don't do any sales. I have people at least once a week come to me and say, "Hey, can we jump on a sales call? I'm interested in the service." And I just say no. Like I don't want to do a sales call. I might be extroverted, but I don't want to jump on a sales call for this. The sales page has everything on there. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions online, over email.
Yeah.
But my email sequence and my sales page has all the information on it. So that's kind of my response. And so what the business basically is my website, my blog, has reasons for you to give me your email address. So I think I give away like a free agency proposal template. I give away some other stuff too, and I give a preview of like the lead service I have and different materials, right? So there's a reason for people to sign up. They search something online, they're searching for leads, my website pops up, they give me their email address for some reason I try to make it as good of a reason as possible, but that's simple, right? That's we all understand that. Next is I send them basically a short email every day for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And this has changed a lot over the years. It didn't used to be a short email. My emails used to be extremely long. They used to be very, very long. So I really liked like Ramit Sethi. I really liked, Amy Hoy, some really good email marketers that had these super long emails. So I just copied them.
Yeah.
Um, but over time, I felt like that was hard to manage. I felt like it was these agency owner freelancers were busy, and maybe I was overdoing it, trying to be like, and so I just kind of I broke those emails down into much smaller portions, but they all still follow kind of the same approach. So I took a course once that was called 30 by 500
Okay.
by Amy Hoy, who I just mentioned, a really good salesperson, really good copywriter. And what I still remember to this day, and what I teach it in the course, how to apply this to freelance businesses, is a framework, so to speak, called PDF. And what it is like if you go to a sales page, if you open up an email from me, um, you're going to notice that the structure of what the writing on the page, what the text on the page is going to say, is going to be in that formula. So I'm going to talk about first about the pains that this product is going to solve. The pain, I'm going to try to describe it in as vivid of a way as I can, so that it speaks to you and so that you know that I'm talking about what you're experiencing. Um, so for example, for a freelancer, that might be not having any leads and what that means. And I'll talk about myself and how when I was a freelancer, I didn't know where my next project was coming from. That stressed me out. Or if I had a client, but I knew they could, slip out of my grasp at any moment, that stressed me out. Whatever it is, for that email or for that sales page that I'm kind of trying to talk about, and then I'll switch over to the dream. So what's the dream scenario? Well, the dream scenario would be maybe having unlimited leads, or maybe it's having really good, knowing that tomorrow I'm going to have a really good lead come through my door. And then the fix, so the PDF, the last one is fix, would be click on my link that will take you to a page where you can get this, or where you can check out and get this. So that's what basically my sales framework is whenever I'm writing emails. And so you'll get basically 20 of those, and that's pretty much it. Like in terms of my my marketing strategy, um, people sign up for my email list, they'll get pitched on. I mean, if they're an agency, they'll get pitched on my agency leads program, in that sort of style, where I'm just basically talking about them and their pains and why somebody should sign up, and then and then some portion of them will become clients of mine. Some portion of them will sign up for the list and become customers, and the rest are they stay on my email list, and they'll get emails periodically, but I don't continue to push for months and months like that. That's really it. I mean, it's still compared to maybe Brennan Dunn, who you were talking about. He does, I know, a lot more complicated, a lot more intricate marketing, especially with email and personalization and all that. I just found that for my business, I don't need the long emails. I don't need like the super advanced personalization. I have something that sells pretty well if I speak about specifically. I still want to speak, vividly and specifically about real pains, but I don't have to go, super complex in terms of what the marketing is.
Yeah, I love how simple you've broken it down. I was just sharing with someone recently, like in my own overall brand sales process, I had to like accept that I was now in a dream that I once had, and that the pains that I once struggled with for years weren't as much pain anymore. And so I could get comfortable now offering the fix. So I love how simple you've broken that down. Um, Last question for you, and this is on becoming a dad, right? You mentioned becoming a father. I'm always curious how other freelancers and online business owners um, manage that transition in terms of, your time changing,
Yeah.
and the needs of your business having to adjust, or the needs of your career having to adjust. What has that been like for you with Folio?
So probably so okay, so the cool part is like I'm totally blessed. I get to work from home, which means as soon as my wife had the kid, I'm around my daughter June. She's 5 now. Around. I was around her from when she was born, every day, and I'm still around her every single day. Like that probably hasn't happened for a full-time working, dad, uh, prior to maybe the last, 10 years, maybe like working from home. That's still a new thing. So that's
Mm.
pretty crazy. Like for most of human history, dads have not been around as much as I have in no way, shape, or form. So that is just crazy to me. Like I can work and be right here with my kid and not have to miss out on a big chunk of their life and of their first few years. Has been really cool. So I would work with her in my. I, I can't. I don't. I'm not sure on the technical term for this, but it's a. Uh, it's kind of like a almost like a not a bra, like a sling. That's what it is, sling. So a
Okay.
baby sling.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I almost made everybody really confused with bra. It's so a sling that you would wrap the baby in, right? And I used to work with her in there. So that's just a cool memory that I have. But
Hmm.
I realized, look, I don't have the time anymore. Like we said, like I used to work on my site and on my marketing and on my sales material, just almost like as a hobby, or like as a like refining it for hours and hours and hours. And I just remember coming to a point where it's like, okay, well that can't happen anymore since I have this new thing in my life. Um, and and what I slowly started to do was I slowly started to realize I don't need to do that either. Like that stuff doesn't really help at the end of the day, or if it does, um it's on a smaller scale. the
Mm,
80/20 rule or whatever that everybody says talks about, I feel like is very applicable, where 20% maybe of the time that you spend of the work that you do actually has produces 80% of the results. And I realized, okay, for me in my business, finding these leads is important because that's what they're paying me for. I can do that in a couple hours a day. Um, Responding to emails, I don't have a ton of emails that I get from this business. Um, and then I realized, okay, what I'm spending a lot of my time on besides those things is, like I said, like updating my website, making little tweaks, refining copy, doing stuff like that, updating the design of, like, tinkering with the design. Oh, I want to make this better. I want to change this button. And then the email marketing, I was going down that path of personalization, of trying to make all these complicated funnels and bouncing people around different products based on what. And I just kind of came to the conclusion that it's ultimately not that important. It's not going to make that mean that much more money, and I could save 50, 60, 70 hours um a month or more, probably, by not doing those things, like ignoring those things, um focusing on the, like, those two or three things that really mattered,
yeah.
and that was enough, and that would continue to grow it. And so um I've been blessed in the sense that that has proven out, and I'm now working, probably a tenth of what I used to work when I was completely, um when it was just me and my wife, or when before I had a family like this. And so that's been awesome as well. I don't mind working. I don't mind putting in hours in any shape. I, I've I actually like working, but and like, I think your audience will probably resonate with that a lot, because they probably love working on websites and building Squarespace websites and doing design and all that stuff. But what I found is, um, it wasn't as it didn't have as big of an effect on my success or the business's success as the amount of time it was receiving. And
Mm,
so cutting that all down just to nothing has been basically what I've done the last couple years. Um, and it's allowed me to do a lot more other things that I actually had never considered. I've been serving at our church, almost like a part-time job sort of amount of hours, which has been really cool because I'm helping on, like, the junior high. I'm meeting all these kids. I'm providing kind of a community service in a way, you
mhm.
know. Um, and just my other family members, like, spending time. I just have so much more time in a way, and just really getting to focus on, okay, I'm raising a child. What does that mean? How can I do my best at that? That seems like more important than even a business, because it is my child. It is something that is beyond even just, commerce or business or anything like that. So that's kind of what it's gotten down to. I'm sorry if that was like a super long answer, and it was, but
No,
that's kind of
I appreciate all of it.
where I'm
Uh,
at. Yeah.
because first of all, I take it for granted myself as a father, the benefit and the privilege that I've had to be, fully immersed in their upbringing, um, because of this lifestyle. But also just the fact that you've created a very lean, it sounds like a very lean business, where I'm sure, from 2018 to now, you've continued, the business has continued to like serve and like help people at scale, right? While you've also been able to get back your time so that you can continue to serve in different ways. Does that sound like where you're at?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Because lately I've had um had like a personal revelation with like the parenting transition, and it's like I really want this for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know it was possible. I kind of had to like chop through wood to get here myself, but I think it is definitely a blessing when you're able to um spend your time in different ways while still, creating a lot of value through your business. What have been like, and this is to wrap it up, what has been like some guiding, like some guiding principles for you that you've anchored your business to?
Um, always kind of giving value, always um, giving value first before asking for anything. Um, so my email marketing that I talked about, every email, whether you buy from me or not, I'm trying to give you something valuable. So whether that's advice, an idea, a PDF, a template, a script, a free lead, whatever it might be, I'm trying to always give that to you with no strings attached. And that served me really well because it's built trust with people who would otherwise not trust me. And it's something that's maybe sometimes I see people be afraid to do because they think maybe, well, if I give it all away, then they won't, there's no reason for them to buy. But for the most part, people aren't paying attention that much, enough to do, you know, to steal all your tricks or whatever. They're really just looking for somebody who will help them, and they're really just looking for somebody who uh, is not a spammer, not a scammer, is not just trying to take their money. So it's a nice way to build that trust without having to ask for anything, and that's been at pretty much at the front of a lot of what I do when it comes to the business, and it's worked out really well.
I like it, man. Really simple. Um, well, Robert, thanks for coming on this evening. It's really been a pleasure talking with you and getting to know your story and how you've been able to do what you've done with Folio and helping agencies get more leads. Do you have any parting words for us?
No, I really appreciate the time, and people can email me if they have any questions. I'm at Robert at Folio, so FOLYO .me, and I'd be happy to chat about anything we talked about today, or if there's any questions, any follow up questions, or anything that they were maybe start thinking about or wondering about during the podcast. I'm happy to go over that stuff.
Cool, yeah, and just say you heard on Omari's podcast.
Yes, sir.
Cool,
I don't
man.
do many podcasts anymore, so this will be cool.